This is Into Math, 3rd grade, lesson 16.3. Recognize and generate equivalent fractions. I can represent a fraction with equal parts that are smaller or larger in size than the equal parts of an equivalent fraction. Please gather your workbook and a pencil and turn to page 430. We will start under Build Understanding, question 1. You may pause this video at any time as needed. Rico's band eats pizza after band practice each week. On Friday, the band eats 6/8 of a cheese pizza. The next week, the band eats the same amount of a same-sized vegetable pizza cut into 4 equal pieces. What fraction of the vegetable pizza does the band eat? Show one way to solve the problem. Let's take a look at part A. How can you draw lines to divide the 2 pizzas? Into how many pieces will you divide each pizza? Well, we'll need to go back into the word problem. So we see that the band eats 6/8 of a cheese pizza, and with the same amount of the same size vegetable pizza, they cut it into 4 equal pieces. So for the cheese pizza, we're going to need to make 8 equal pieces, and for the vegetable, we're going to need to make 4 equal pieces. For the cheese pizza, I am going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 lines to make 8 equal pieces, and for the vegetable, I am going to draw 2 lines to make 4 equal pieces. And I can explain my thinking under part A by writing I can draw 4 lines to divide the cheese pizza into 8 equal pieces, and I can draw 2 lines to divide the vegetable pizza into 4 equal pieces. Now let's take a look at part B. How can you shade the pizzas to show how much the band eats? If you'd like to pause and try this part on your own, you may do so, or just follow along with me. We know that the band eats 6/8 of a cheese pizza. So we can shade in 6 pieces of the cheese pizza because we know the band ate 6 out of the 8 slices of cheese pizza on that Friday. And then when we take a look at the vegetable pizza, we know, or we are told, that it was the same size as the cheese pizza, only just cut into 4 equal pieces. So here's the size that was eaten. So we know that we can make that same shape and size, even though it's only cut into fourths. We can go ahead and shade that same amount just right here, and we'll find that when we do that, there are 3 that are shaded of the vegetable pizza that's cut into 4 pieces. And we can write that in our answer, I can shade 6 pieces of the cheese pizza and 3 pieces of the vegetable pizza. Now we're ready to look at part C. What fraction can you write for the amount of each pizza that the band eats? Label each pizza to show the fraction of each pizza that the band eats. And how do these fractions compare? So that's a lot of information. Let's start with the cheese pizza. We already know that the cheese pizza has 8 equal parts, and then we need to create the fraction to show how many are shaded. And we know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our fraction for the cheese pizza is 6/8. Then we take a look at the vegetable. We know that there are 4 equal parts and that there are 1, 2, 3 parts shaded. So our fraction for the vegetable pizza is 3/4. Now when we compare these fractions, we notice that the shaded part is exactly the same. Remember, that's what we did. We took a look at this section and then we just filled in the same shape here because the band ate the same amount, and that's how we came up with 3/4, which is the exact same as 6/8. So we know that they are equal. Our final part, D, asks us to write the fractions, write greater than, less than, or equal to. The band eats blank of the vegetable pizza. So we are going to write the fractions in 6/8, which is the cheese, and 3/4, which is the vegetable. And we are going to compare them. Remember, we read the fraction sentence from left to right. So is 6/8 greater than, less than, or equal to? Well, we know that these are the exact same, so we are going to write an equal sign. And we know that the band eats 3/4 of the vegetable pizza. Let's take a look at the next page, page 431, under Step It Out, number 2. Leah runs 3 seconds of a mile. Roxy runs the same distance on a track laid out into fourths of a mile. How far does Roxy run? Part A asks us to complete the number line. So we've done this a few times. Remember that we are going to always start at the 0 mark, and we notice here that first we have 0/4, and then we see they have 4/4 completed, and then 8/4 completed. So we're going to go ahead and write in for each of the fourths. So this would be 1/4, 2/4, and this would be 3/4. And then of course we have 4/4, and so we don't need to write that. And then we can write 5/4, 6/4, and 7/4. Now let's take a look at the bottom section, which would be 0/2, and then we have 2/2 and 4/2. So those are the ones that are provided. And we're going to just start with 0 as always. So this would be 1/2. And then we have the 2/2, so we don't need to write that in. Then we would put 3/2. And then, of course, they give us 4/2, which we don't need to write in. So now we're ready for part B. Locate and draw a point on the number line to show how far Leah and Roxy run. Write the equivalent fraction. So remember that Leah runs 3/2. So we're going to go ahead and find that on the number line, which is right here. Here's 3/2. And then Roxy runs the same. So it already tells us that Roxy, hers is going to be the exact same spot, but she doesn't run it in 2 parts. She runs it in fourths. So on top here, we've divided the same distance into fourths. So we would know that, oh, if they're the same and they're cut into fourths, that the amount that Roxy runs would be 6/4. So we can say that 3/2 of a mile is the same as 6/4 of a mile. Now let's take a look at part 3. Draw circles to show equal groups. Find equivalent fractions for the shaded area of the shapes. Write the fractions. So first they give us the fraction of 4/8. So we see that there are 8 equal parts and 4 are shaded. So what we have here is 4/8. So now let's take a look at the shape right next to it. So this time we're going to make, let's make a circle of just the parts that are shaded. Here's one group, and then we'll call this other group the part that's not shaded. So I've drawn 2 circles. And how many of those circles are all shaded? Just this one whole group. So this fraction that I've made is actually the same fraction as 4/8. I just put it into different groups. So now let's take a look at the shape right next to it. It's exactly the same size. What we're going to do this time is I'm only going to group in 2. So here's one group of 2. Here's another group of 2. Here's another group of 2. And here's another group of 2. So how many circles did I make? I made 4 circles. And out of those 4 circles, how many are shaded? There are 2 that are shaded. So here's another equivalent fraction. That means it's exactly the same as 1/2 and as 4/8 because we know they're all the same. We just made circles to put them in equal groups. As always, you can always go back and rewatch this video at any time and pause along the way as needed.